Hey Jem, guess what? We have some really exciting news for 2D VTubers! VTube Studio just released a tweet showcasing their live 2D hand tracking feature. And the craziest part is this is literally available right now. In this video, I'm gonna be showing you how hand tracking in VTube Studio actually works so that you can get started on adding hand tracking as soon as possible. So first, I'm actually gonna be showing you a resource that you can utilize to know exactly what parameters you need to be setting up in live 2D Cubism to utilize full hand tracking in VTube Studio. I will be leaving a link for this information down below, but here's an alternative way to get to it if you need to. First, go into Steam and you're going to want to go to the VTube Studio page and scroll down. Once you scroll down, you'll see the latest update, which should be 1.13.0. If your version is not 1.13.0, make sure you head over to Library and downloads and update your VTube Studio. We're going to click on VTube Studio and then we're going to click on this link on GitHub. It's going to open up a notice and you're going to click continue to external site. Don't worry, it's safe. And here we have a whole guide that talks to you about how you can do hand tracking for 2D VTubers. So the first thing we're going to talk about when we hop over into VTube Studio is when you go to your webcam settings, you can turn on a hand tracking only mode, a face and hand tracking mode, or a face tracking only mode. The cool thing about this is you don't need leap motion. I'm using leap motion for my 3D VTuber right now, but you actually only need a webcam to track both your face tracking and your hand tracking in VTube Studio. So as they say here, fast finger movements are okay, but fast hand movements make it lose track right away. So be careful with that. So it might be something you have to train your hands on as well. That's something you'll get used to. So let's hop over into VTube Studio and see what this is all about. So sadly, from what I've seen so far, they don't actually have a model for you to test out in here. I tried it out and things were not working. So that really is unfortunate. Hopefully we'll see a working hand tracking model in the future that's actually in live 2D for us to test it. First, you're gonna go over to the settings, the gear wheel, and then you're gonna click on the camera icon up here. And usually this is an area where you'll calibrate your camera and this is where your hands calibrate. So I'm gonna turn off my camera and then we'll go to tracking type. And make sure you have only hand tracking or face and hand tracking depending on which one you want to do. We're going to do face and hand tracking. We're going to select that and then you can turn your camera back on with a click. If your camera's not working or there's issues, usually you want to unplug and replug in your camera. So as you can see now, my face is tracking and calibrated, and if I lift my hands up, you give it a second and you'll see your fingers. So you can move your fingers around and you can see these little wheels down here. You can also check this little box down here to show which hands are currently working or not. So as you can see, both of them are up there. If I remove one, now I only have my right hand, I can remove that one and bring up my left hand. So that is a little bit about how it actually is going to work within VTube Studio itself. Now let's can't talk. Let's keep reading to learn more about VTube Studio. So as you can see here, it says the circles below, which we just saw the tracking preview, show the fingers angles. Fully blue means finger is straight, fully white means finger is bent. The bar below that shows hand openness. For each hand, the two dots in the middle show the hand distance. If you're still new to live 2D and you're learning a lot about it, I highly recommend you check out my full-length series on how to set up a VTuber model. Unfortunately, that series does not have how to do hand tracking because it was not out yet, but that can at least get you started with some of the basics. Moving on, below that, the detected hand gestures are being shown. The right and the left hand can each have one gesture, shown left and right. Additionally, there are some special poses that require both hands, and they'll be shown in the middle. So what this part is explaining here next is basically saying that if you do any of these combinations here, say you do a thumbs up, you can also tie it to a hotkey. So if you have a certain expression or a keyframe you want to show up on your VTuber's face while you're doing a thumbs up, you can link those. So that's super cool because now we can have expressions also linked to our hand gestures, which is going to create a lot easier of a time clicking instead of clicking a hotkey, it's literally linked to your hand gesture, which is super duper cool. You can choose if both hand gestures have to be detected for the hotkey to activate, and you can configure this and customize all these things within VTube Studio. Now, here is the part that we'll want to pay attention to if you're thinking of adding hand tracking to your VTuber in live 2D Cubism. So we see a bunch of different parameters that we have to follow. If you're familiar with live 2D Cubism, you'll understand the meaning of what parameters are and how to set those up in live 2D Cubism. So this says the following parameters are available, which means they are available, which also tells me that you probably don't need every single one of these, but you can at least utilize some of them. So the special you might not need, but hand position, hand angles, and fingers I would set up if you want to get the most out of your hand tracking. So these are the different types of parameters that you're going to want to set up in live 2D Cubism. I'm legitimately screaming right now. This is so exciting for everyone in the live 2D community. We've legitimately been waiting for this for centuries. So thank you, VTube Studio. We appreciate you so much. If you're new to 2D VTubing, check out my full-length series. And if you got value out of this video, make sure you hit that like button. I'll see you guys next time on the Sapphire Star. Goodbye!